September 1966. A boxing gym in Oakland, California. An undefeated karate champion with 43 victories entered the premises and saw an Asian man sweeping the floor, cleaning equipment, and organizing the space. He called him a janitor and remarked that Kung Fu was cleaning work, not a real martial art. 7 seconds later, that champion was on the ground after the man with the broom executed a sweep so fast that witnesses barely saw it. The champion tried to get up, but Bruce already had his foot positioned millimeters from his throat, showing exactly where the fight would have ended if it were real. 3 boxers who witnessed the scene stood in absolute silence. The man with the broom was Bruce Lee, owner of the school on the upper floor of the building, who cleaned his own space every morning as a matter of discipline. Bruce Lee had established his Jun Fan Kung Fu Institute on the 2nd floor of a shared building in downtown Oakland. The lower floor was a boxing gym operated by a veteran named Hammering Frank Donovan, a former heavyweight boxer who now trained young prospects. The building was old and required constant maintenance. Bruce, wanting to keep his space impeccable, arrived every morning at 5:30 a.m. to clean before the day's classes. He swept the wooden floors, cleaned the mirrors, and organized the training equipment. For Bruce, cleaning was meditation, discipline, and respect for the practice space. It wasn't degrading work, it was a ritual. On this particular morning, while Bruce was sweeping the stairs connecting both floors, he heard voices coming up from the boxing gym below. Frank Donovan was giving a tour to a special visitor. And here we have the heavy bag area. Over there are the sparring rings. 2 men climbed the stairs, nearly colliding with Bruce as he swept the top step. The visitor was Marcus Thunderfist Chan, a national full-contact karate champion known for spectacular knockouts and a perfect record of 43 wins and 0 losses. Chan had a reputation not just as a fighter, but as an arrogant personality who constantly belittled other martial styles. Frank made the introductions. "Marcus, this is Bruce Lee. He has a Kung Fu school upstairs." Marcus barely looked at Bruce. Seeing the broom in his hands, he immediately assumed the worst. "Ah, the janitor," Marcus said with evident disdain. "The building needs good maintenance workers." Bruce stopped sweeping. He looked at Marcus calmly. "I am not the janitor. I am the instructor. I clean my own school." Marcus laughed, a sound of pure condescension. "Instructor of what?" "Kung Fu." He pronounced the word as if it were a joke. "That's cleaning work too, isn't it? Cleaning the illusions of students who think they can fight." Frank Donovan grew uncomfortable. "Marcus, Bruce is a respected martial artist here in Oakland." Marcus interrupted him. "Frank, no offense to your tenant, but Kung Fu is theater. Pretty forms, choreographed movements, nothing real." He looked directly at Bruce. "Karate is proven combat. Real competition, real contact, real winners and losers." Bruce leaned his broom against the wall. "You've won 43 fights in point tournaments. An impressive record." Marcus smiled, taking the comment as validation. 43 knockouts. "No one lasts more than 2 rounds with me." Bruce nodded. "In tournaments with specific rules and referees who stop the fight when a point is scored. Mandatory protective equipment." Marcus frowned. "What's your point?" Bruce responded quietly. "My point is that you call Kung Fu theater, while you practice a sport with more rules than a Broadway play." The tension on the stairs spiked immediately. Frank tried to intervene. "Gentlemen, we don't need to." Marcus stepped toward Bruce, who remained completely relaxed. "Are you saying your broom Kung Fu could beat me?" Bruce didn't answer immediately. He simply picked up the broom again. He continued sweeping the step where he stood. Marcus interpreted the silence as weakness. "Exactly what I thought. All you Kung Fu masters talk philosophy, but you run when the real moment comes." Bruce finished sweeping the step, then spoke without looking up from his broom. "Marcus Chan, 43 victories, all by knockout in full-contact karate tournaments. Favorite technique? A spinning kick followed by a reverse punch. Weakness, you telegraph your hip rotation before the kick. You lean too far forward on your punches and rely entirely on speed, because you've never faced an opponent who doesn't fight exactly like you." Marcus froze. "How do you know that?" Bruce finally looked up. "I saw your fight in San Francisco 3 months ago. A student of mine competed in that same tournament." Frank Donovan recognized the situation was escalating. Look, maybe we should. Bruce interrupted him gently. Frank, it's okay. He looked at Marcus. Do you want to know if Kung Fu works? I'll show you, but we don't need to fight. He leaned the broom against the wall again. You try to execute your best technique, the one that has won 43 fights. If you connect, you've proven your point. Kung Fu is theater, and I'm just a janitor with a broom. Marcus smiled with renewed confidence. And if I don't connect? Bruce replied. Then perhaps you reconsider your opinion about Kung Fu being cleaning work. He paused. And perhaps you learn that judging a book by its cover, or a master by his broom, is a beginner's mistake. Marcus looked at Frank. Do you have witnesses here? Frank sighed, knowing he couldn't stop it. Right now, yes. I have 3 students downstairs in the gym. Marcus shouted down. Boys, come up. You're going to want to see this. 3 young boxers ran up the stairs quickly, sensing something interesting was about to happen. They positioned themselves where they could see clearly. Marcus took off his jacket, revealing a competitor's physique. Muscular, defined, built by years of intensive training. He adopted a karate stance. Perfect guard, weight distributed. Ready, broom master. Bruce adopted a simple stance. Hands relaxed, weight centered. Whenever you're ready. Marcus wasted no time. He launched his signature technique. An explosive spinning kick aimed at Bruce's head. A move that had knocked out 17 tournament opponents. The speed was impressive, the form was perfect, and the power was real. But Bruce had seen the micro-rotation of the hip that preceded the kick. He slid inside the arc instead of backing away. The movement was so precise that the kick passed behind his head without touching a single hair. Simultaneously, Bruce executed a low sweep with his right leg, striking Marcus's support leg exactly when all his weight was on it. Marcus fell backward, landing heavily on the stairs. The impact echoed through the silent building. Time elapsed from the moment Marcus launched the kick to the impact on the floor. 3 seconds. Before Marcus could process what had happened, Bruce was already standing over him. His right foot was positioned millimeters from Marcus's throat, controlled yet threatening. For more seconds to position the foot, Bruce said calmly, Total, 7 seconds from your attack to your complete defeat. Marcus looked up. His breathing accelerated more from shock than physical effort. He had just been dominated faster than in any fight of his career. Bruce withdrew his foot and extended a hand to help Marcus up. Marcus ignored the hand and got up on his own, his face red with humiliation. The 3 boxer witnesses exchanged looks of astonishment. Frank Donovan whistled low. I've never seen anything like that. Marcus brushed the dust off his clothes, his ego clearly wounded. You got lucky. You caught me off guard. Bruce picked up his broom again. He resumed sweeping as if nothing had happened. Marcus, it wasn't luck. I read your technique before you even launched it. Your body telegraphed. I intended that 3 moves ago. Marcus clenched his fists. One more time. No tricks this time. Bruce stopped sweeping and looked at Marcus with a serious expression. Those weren't tricks, and we don't need a one more time. I've already proven my point. Marcus took an aggressive step toward Bruce. Are you afraid that the second time won't be luck? Frank intervened. Marcus, drop it. You lost fair and square. Marcus ignored him completely. Come on, broommaster. Either it was luck or you can repeat it. Bruce sighed, recognizing that Marcus's wounded pride wouldn't accept defeat without a second demonstration. All right, but this time I'm adding something. He leaned his broom against the wall. I won't just evade your attack. I'll show you 3 points where you were completely vulnerable. Marcus adopted his stance again, determination mixed with visible anger on his face. Do it. Bruce waited. This time Marcus didn't use a spinning kick. It was too predictable now. Instead, he launched a rapid combination of punches. Jab, cross, hook. A technique he had refined in hundreds of fights. The speed was fierce, the technique was solid. First punch. Bruce deflected with an open palm while touching the side of Marcus's neck with his other hand. 1. Second punch. Bruce slipped sideways and touched Marcus's floating ribs. 2. Third punch. Bruce ducked underneath and touched the back of Marcus's knee. Point 3. Everything happened in less than 2 seconds. Marcus completed his combination, hitting only air. Bruce was already 3 feet back out of range. 3 vulnerabilities in 2 seconds, Bruce explained calmly. Neck, ribs, knee. Any of those would have ended the fight. Marcus was breathing heavily, not from fatigue, but from the absolute frustration of being unable to touch an opponent who seemed to read the future. This is impossible. No one is that fast. Bruce shook his head. It's not speed, it's anticipation. You train for tournaments where everyone fights with the same system and the same rules. You develop patterns that work against those opponents, but against someone outside that system, those patterns become predictable. Marcus looked at the 3 witnessing boxers. Did you guys see that? One of them, a young man named Tony, nodded slowly. Mr. Chun, he was touching you every time you attacked. If those were real hits. He left the sentence unfinished. Marcus felt the weight of public humiliation falling over him. He had come here as an undefeated champion, mocking a janitor with a broom. Now, he had been dominated twice in less than 5 minutes in front of witnesses. Worse still, it was done with such ease that it felt like an adult playing with a child. I need to go, Marcus muttered, picking up his jacket. Frank Donovan tried to soften the situation. Marcus, hey, there's no shame in. Marcus interrupted him sharply. I don't need your compassion, Frank. He looked at Bruce with a mix of resentment and confusion. I don't know what just happened here. Bruce responded with a voice free of mockery or arrogance. What happened is that you assumed appearance determines ability. You saw a broom and assumed a janitor. You saw kung fu and assumed theater. You saw a smaller man and assumed an easy victory. He paused. Your assumptions cost you. Marcus didn't respond. He just turned around and started down the stairs. Frank called after him. Do you still want that gym tour? Marcus didn't turn back. He left the building quickly, leaving an awkward silence behind. Tony broke the silence. Mr. Lee, that was incredible. Could you really see his attacks before he threw them? Bruce picked up his broom and resumed cleaning the stairs. I saw the preparation for his attacks. The human body cannot throw a punch or kick without prior preparation. That preparation is a signal that can be read if you know what to look for. Another boxer asked, Could you teach us that? Bruce smiled slightly. The school is upstairs. Classes are Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 6 p.m. The first class is free. 3 days later, Marcus Chun didn't show up at his usual gym, didn't answer calls from students, and didn't reply to messages. His head instructor, a veteran named Sensei Richard Tanaka, finally went to Marcus's apartment. He found his champion sitting on the living room floor, staring at the trophies and belts lined up on a shelf. Marcus, everyone is worried. What happened? Marcus didn't look up from the trophies. I lost, Sensei. Twice in less than 10 seconds combined. Tanaka frowned. You lost a fight? Where? When? Marcus finally looked at his instructor. It wasn't an official fight. It was a demonstration. Against a guy I thought was a janitor. He proceeded to tell the whole story. The insults, the challenge, Bruce's absolute dominance. Tanaka listened in silence, then spoke. Bruce Lee. I've heard of him. Students of mine who went to the Long Beach Championships say he is exceptionally talented. Marcus clenched his jaw. You didn't prepare me for that, Sensei. 43 victories, and none of them prepared me for what he did. Tanaka sat next to Marcus. I prepared you for tournament karate. Rules, referees, a point system. That is what I teach. That is what you mastered. Marcus exploded. Then what is all this for? He gestured violently toward the trophies. If the first guy outside a tournament makes me look like a beginner, what value do these victories have? Tanaka remained calm. They have value within the context where they were won. But Marcus, I always told you, tournament karate is a sport, not total combat. Marcus shook his head. No, you always said karate was superior. That discipline, technique, and tradition made us better. Tanaka sighed. I said our tradition is valuable. I never said it was the only way. He paused. But you interpreted that as superiority, and used that interpretation to belittle other styles. Marcus stood up and walked to the window. So you admit I've been wasting my time? That everything I learned is useless outside a tournament? Tanaka firmly disagreed. It's not useless, it's incomplete. There's a difference. He stood up and placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. The question is, what are you going to do now? Hide because you found a limit, or expand beyond that limit? 2 weeks later, Marcus appeared at Bruce's Jun Fan Gung Fu Institute. It was Saturday afternoon. Class had just ended and students were leaving. Some greeted Marcus, recognizing him from tournaments. Bruce was cleaning the mirrors when he saw Marcus in the entrance. Marcus-chan, Bruce greeted him without surprise. I didn't expect to see you again. Marcus entered slowly, looking around the school. It was a simple space, no luxuries, focused entirely on practice. I came to... He started, then stopped, searching for the right words. I came to apologize for the insults, for calling you a janitor, for my arrogance. Bruce put down his cleaning rag. He turned to face Marcus directly. Apology accepted. Marcus nodded, then added, and I came to ask if you would be willing to teach me. Bruce studied Marcus for a long moment. Why do you want to learn from me? Marcus answered honestly. Because you showed me that everything I thought I knew has massive holes. 43 victories and I couldn't touch you once. He paused. I need to understand what you did. How you did it. Bruce gestured toward a bench. Sit. They both sat. Bruce spoke. Marcus, I can teach you techniques. I can show you how to read an opponent's intentions, how to move outside of rigid systems, how to adapt instead of following patterns. He made a significant pause. But first I need to know, are you coming here to learn? Or are you coming here to eventually prove you can beat me? Marcus considered the question seriously. Honestly, part of me wants a rematch. Part of me wants to prove those 2 times were flukes. Bruce nodded. That's an honest answer. I appreciate that. He stood up and walked toward a window overlooking the street. But that mentality, seeking a rematch, proving superiority, is exactly what made you vulnerable. You came to Frank's gym looking to validate your ego and belittle other styles. He turned back to Marcus. If you come here with that same mentality, you won't learn anything real. Marcus frowned. Then what should I do? Just accept that I'm inferior. Bruce shook his head. You aren't inferior. You are limited. We are all limited in different ways. I have limits too. Marcus looked skeptical. I didn't see any limits when you dominated me twice. Bruce smiled slightly. Because the situation favored my strengths. Short distance, no weapons, one-on-one, enclosed space. He counted them on his fingers. But put me in a boxing ring with timed rounds against a heavyweight boxer who has trained his whole life, I would have difficulties. Put me in a judo tournament against an Olympic-level judoka. I would probably lose. Marcus was surprised. You admit you would lose? Bruce nodded. Of course. I'm not the best at everything. No one is. He sat down again next to Marcus. The difference is that I recognize my limits and work constantly to expand them. I study boxing, fencing, judo, wrestling. I take what is useful from each system. He looked at Marcus directly. You, on the other hand, stayed within one system and assumed that mastering it made you complete. Marcus felt the weight of truth in those words. My instructor said something similar, that tournament karate is a sport, not total combat. Bruce nodded in approval. Your instructor is wise. The question is, are you ready to face the discomfort of being a beginner again? Because if I teach you, you won't be a champion here. You'll be a novice student learning fundamentals. Marcus took a deep breath. Yes, I'm ready. Bruce studied Marcus's face, looking for sincerity. He found genuine vulnerability where there had once been arrogance. All right, but with conditions. He stood up and walked to the center of the training space. First condition. You leave your ego at the door. Here you aren't an undefeated champion. You're Marcus, a student learning a new system. Marcus nodded. Understood. Bruce continued. Second condition. You don't compete with other students. You don't try to prove your karate is better or worse. You just learn. Marcus nodded again. Agreed. Bruce extended his hand. Third and most important condition. You promise that what you learn here, you use to grow, not to dominate, to understand, not to destroy. Marcus shook his hand firmly. I promise. Bruce smiled for the first time in the conversation. Then welcome. The first class is tomorrow Sunday at 8 a.m. Arrive early. You're going to clean the floor with me. Marcus blinked in surprise. Clean. Bruce nodded. Cleaning is the first lesson. Humility, discipline, respect for the space. If you're going to train here, you're going to take care of this place like I do. The new path. The next morning, Marcus arrived at 7:45. Bruce was already there, broom in hand. He passed another broom to Marcus. Start in that corner. Sweep toward the center. Marcus took the broom and began to sweep. His movements were clumsy at first. He had never cleaned a gym in his life. He had always been the star. Others cleaned for him. Bruce watched. You're sweeping as if it's a punishment. Sweep as if it's meditation. Marcus adjusted his focus, trying to find a rhythm. After 20 minutes, the floor was clean. Bruce inspected the work. Good. Now clean the mirrors. Marcus obeyed without complaint. An hour later, the space was impeccable. Other students began to arrive. They saw Marcus-chan, the well-known national champion, cleaning alongside Bruce. Some looked surprised. Bruce gathered the class. We have a new student, Marcus. Some of you know him from tournaments. Here he is a beginner, just as you all once were. He looked at Marcus. Marcus, greet your classmates. Marcus greeted them, feeling a strange mix of humility and anticipation. The class began with basic warm-ups, stretching, mobility, and breathing exercises. Marcus, accustomed to intense karate training, found these exercises almost meditative. Bruce then taught a fundamental concept. In Jeet Kune Do, there are no fixed forms. Water has no shape. Takes the shape of the container. A fighter must be the same. He demonstrated a simple movement. A direct punch from the center. It's not a karate punch, it's not a boxing punch. It's an efficient punch from your current position toward the target. He had the students practice. Marcus threw a punch. Bruce observed. You're loading your shoulder back before throwing. You're telegraphing tension. Marcus adjusted. Still tense in the shoulder. Relax. Marcus tried to relax. Now you've lost power. It needs to be relaxed until the moment of impact. Then explosive. Marcus practiced repeatedly, frustrated by the difficulty of something that seemed so simple. Bruce approached. In karate, they taught you a specific way to throw a punch, right? Marcus nodded. The high kite hand pulls back to the hip while the other strikes. Bruce nodded. Useful for developing hip rotation and understanding power. But in real application, pulling your hand to your hip exposes your center. He demonstrated how one hand must protect while the other attacks, dual purpose. Marcus felt the world he knew being disassembled piece by piece. Every truth of karate was questioned, not for being wrong but for being incomplete. The class lasted 2 hours. By the end, Marcus was mentally and physically exhausted. Bruce called him aside. What did you think? Marcus answered honestly. I thought it would be easier. The techniques look simple when you do them, but when I try. Bruce finished the sentence. They are difficult because you are unlearning while you learn. Your brain has karate patterns engraved for years. Now I'm asking you to do something different. Marcus asked. How long until I can do what you do? What you did on the stairs? Bruce considered the question. It depends on how fast you can let go of your old understanding. Some students learn in months. Others take years. He paused. But Marcus, it's not about doing exactly what I do. It's about finding your own expression of these principles. Marcus frowned. I don't understand. Bruce explained. You are bigger than me, stronger in certain aspects. You have a karate background with excellent kicks. Your Jeet Kune Do will eventually be different from mine because you are different. He pointed to another student. James over there has a boxing background. His JKD looks different. Sarah has a judo background. Hers is unique too. Marcus began to understand. So you aren't teaching a fixed system. You're teaching principles. Bruce nodded, satisfied. Exactly. Principles of efficiency, economy of motion, and adaptability. How you apply them. That depends on who you are. He walked away, then turned back. By the way, there's no class tomorrow, Monday. But if you want, you can come clean with me again. 6 a.m. Marcus smiled for the first time. I'll be here. The evolution. For the next 3 months, Marcus arrived every morning. Bruce cleaned. Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 6 o'clock. They swept together, cleaned together, and talked about philosophy, combat, and life. Marcus learned that cleaning wasn't punishment or humiliation. It was a practice of being present, of doing simple work with complete intention. In regular classes, Marcus's progress was notable. His karate background gave him advantages in flexibility and kicking power, but his disadvantages, rigidity of form and dependency on patterns, were evident. Bruce worked patiently, dismantling bad habits while preserving good fundamentals. Other students noticed the transformation in Marcus, the arrogant champion becoming a humble student. Some asked him about his tournament fights. Marcus would respond, "I won those fights in a specific system. Now I'm learning that there is much more beyond that system." 6 months after the humiliation on the stairs, Marcus Chun faced a critical decision. The National Karate Championship was approaching, the event where he had won his title the previous year. The organizers expected him to defend his title, but Marcus knew that 6 months of training with Bruce had fundamentally changed how he fought. He no longer relied on the rigid patterns of traditional karate. His movements were more fluid, less predictable, and more adaptable. "I don't know if I should compete," Marcus confessed to Bruce during a morning cleaning session. "My karate is no longer pure. Judges are going to penalize techniques that aren't traditional." Bruce swept in silence for a moment. Then he responded, "Why would you compete? To validate your ego again? To keep a title you won while being a different person?" Marcus considered the question. "Part of me wants to prove that I can win as a better version of myself." Bruce nodded. "That's a more honest reason. Not to prove the superiority of a style, but to prove your own growth." He paused his sweeping. "Then compete. But compete knowing that the result doesn't define your value. Win or lose, you're still a student who is growing." The championship. Marcus decided to compete. The national championship arrived in April 1967 at the San Diego Convention Center, with 800 competitors from across the country. Marcus entered as the defending champion, but he felt different than the year before. There was no arrogance, no need to belittle others, only clarity of purpose. The first 3 rounds were dominant. Marcus won each fight by unanimous decision, but the judges noted the differences in his style. Unconventional guards, strange angles, and movements that didn't come from traditional kata. Some purists whispered that Marcus had lost his traditional form. The final was against a challenger named David Kasaka, also undefeated that day and known for his impeccable orthodox karate. Before the final fight, Sensei Tanaka visited Marcus in the staging area. "Marcus, I've seen your fights today. You're fighting differently." Marcus nodded. "I've been training with Bruce Lee for the last 6 months. Tanaka smiled slightly. "I know, and I can see the growth. But you need to know, the judges are traditionalists. If you win, it will be by small margins. If your technique looks too unorthodox, they might penalize you." Marcus responded calmly. "Then I will fight my truth and accept the judgment." The final fight began. Kasaka came out with perfect karate, impeccable stance, textbook techniques, explosive power. Marcus moved differently. There was fluidity where there should have been rigidity, and angles where there should have been straight lines. The first round was even. Kasaka scored points with perfectly executed traditional kicks. Marcus scored with unconventional combinations that confused both Kasaka and the judges. In the second round, Kasaka tried a technique Marcus recognized, the same spinning kick Marcus himself had used against Bruce 6 months ago. Marcus saw the preparation in Kasaka's hips exactly as Bruce had taught him. He slipped inside the arc, scored a clean point, and the crowd roared. The movement was spectacular in execution, but the judges hesitated before awarding the point, consulting each other about the legality of such a non-traditional technique. Eventually, they awarded the point. The round ended with Marcus ahead by a narrow margin. The final round was a war. Kasaka, desperate, threw everything. Maximum power, maximum speed, and techniques from his complete arsenal. Marcus responded with adaptability. When Kasaka became rigid, Marcus flowed. When Kasaka attacked directly, Marcus moved in angles. At the end of 3 rounds, both fighters were exhausted. The decision went to the judges. Silence filled the arena while they deliberated. After 5 minutes, an unusually long time, They announced the decision. Kusaka by split decision. Marcus had lost the title. The crowd's reaction was mixed. Some cheered the decision, others booed, considering it unfair. Marcus walked toward Kusaka and shook his hand sincerely. "You fought exceptionally. You deserved the victory." Kusaka responded with respect. "I've never faced a style like yours. You made me adapt constantly." In the staging area, Sensei Tanaka found Marcus sitting alone. "I'm sorry, Marcus. Judge politics." Marcus interrupted. "Don't apologize, Sensei. I lost by a fair decision under the rules of traditional karate." He smiled, surprising Tanaka. "But I learned something more important than keeping a title." Tanaka sat next to him. "What did you learn?" Marcus replied. "That real growth means letting go of the need for external validation. I came here not to prove superiority, but to test my own development." He looked at his second-place medal. "And I proved it. Not to the judges, not to the crowd, to myself." Tanaka placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Then you truly have grown. The true cleanliness." A week later, Marcus returned to the Junfan Gung Fu Institute. Bruce was, as always, cleaning. Marcus picked up a second broom without Bruce having to ask. He began sweeping his section. They worked in silence for several minutes. Finally, Bruce spoke. "I heard about the championship. Second place." Marcus nodded. "I lost the title." Bruce stopped sweeping. "And how do you feel about that?" Marcus considered the question honestly. 6 months ago, losing the title would have destroyed me. I would have blamed the judges, the rules, everything except myself. He paused his sweeping. "Now I feel at peace. I fought with integrity. I applied what I learned. I adapted." He looked at Bruce. "The result was other people's decision based on criteria I don't control. What I control is who I am in the process." Bruce smiled, a look of genuine pride on his face. "So, you really did learn the most important lesson?" Marcus asked. "Which one?" Bruce replied that mastery isn't about never losing. It's about learning from every experience, victory or defeat, and becoming more complete. He resumed sweeping. 6 months ago, you called me a janitor and assumed cleaning was inferior work. Today you sweep alongside me because you understand that true cleaning isn't of floors, but of the ego that prevents you from growing. That transformation is worth more than any title.